Hello everyone. So this video is in continuation to my previous video. In this video we'll discuss section C of Mathematics 1 paper of March 2021. So let's start. So 15th question. Let R plus be the set of positive real numbers. Operation vector addition plus and scalar multiplication dot are defined as u plus v is equal to uv for all u comma v belonging to R plus, and alpha times u is equal to u to the power alpha, alpha belonging to a real number and u belonging to R plus. We have to determine whether R plus forms a real vector space or not. So it's a different kind of vector space. It is the set of R plus, means the set of positive real numbers. And in this space, addition is defined like multiplication. So when you are adding two vectors, addition, when you are adding two vectors, the instead of addition, what you do multiplication. And when you multiply a scalar with a vector, what you take the power of the vector to be that scalar, u to the power alpha. So you have to keep in mind these operations. Okay, here the operations are not usual operations, but the operations are defined in this way. So according to these operations, you have to you have to see that R plus is a vector space or not. So we'll see all the 10 conditions of the vector space. We'll check if those 10 conditions of vector space are being satisfied or not. So let's start. So first condition, let's just take three vectors u, v, w belonging to R plus and take two scalars alpha, beta belonging to R. So first property, first we will check for addition. We will check 5 conditions of addition. So first is that it should be closed. The addition should be closed. So when you add two, if you take two vectors, two positive real numbers, okay, and you add them, add by this operation. Here addition means to multiply. So when you add two real numbers, what you get? When you add two positive real numbers, what you get a positive real number, right? So it is closed. So if you add two positive real numbers, okay, if you apply the operation of addition here, you will get u into v, means you'll be multiplying those two positive real numbers and the answer will be come out to be positive real number only. So it is closed. Second is the commutative law. So closure is there. Second is commutative. So what is u plus v? U plus v is equal to uv. Now multiplication in real numbers is always commutative. So I can write it as uv. Okay, vu, sorry. I can write it as vu. And vu can be written as v plus u. Okay. So this operation is commutative under addition. Then next property, associative law. Will check the associativity. So u plus v plus w, that will be equal to u into v plus w. Firstly will apply the operation of addition here. Okay, so it will be u into v plus w. Now this is one element and we are adding another element w in this element, so it will be u v w. Now I can write it as u into v plus w. Now v plus w, it can be written as, no, firstly let's just write it as u plus vw. So u plus vw, right? These become two elements, and further v plus w can be written as v into w can be written as v plus w. So again associative law exists in according to this operation. Now next property is the identity element. So 1 belongs to R plus. Number 1, it's a positive number. 1 is a positive real number and it belong to this vector space. And if you apply this this operation of addition with any vector u, and taking v to be 1, so what you get, u plus 1 is equal to u into 1. U into 1 is u. Okay, so identity is being preserved. So 1 is preserving identity of all the vectors in R plus, so 1 act as identity. Then next we have inverse. So for each u belonging to R plus, there is a vector 1 upon u belonging to R plus, satisfying the condition u plus 1 upon u is equal to u into 1 upon u, which is equal to 1. So inverse of all the vectors also exist in R plus according to this operation. So all the 5 properties of addition are being satisfied. Now we'll check for scalar multiplication. So if you do this operation alpha times u, what is this doing? It's taking the power alpha for this vector. It become u to the power alpha. So if you take any power, either negative power or positive power of a real number, of a positive real number, you will always get a positive real number. You will not get negative real number. You will not get 0. You will get positive real number only. Okay, so this belongs to R plus. So closure is there. Okay, closure is there. Scalar multiplication is closed. Then alpha times u plus v. So when you multiply a scalar with vector, what happens? The scalar comes in the power of the vector, right? So u plus v to the power alpha will come. Okay, now u plus v, how we have to do u plus v? U plus v is whenever the addition is there, means you have to multiply here. So u into v to the power alpha. So this is equal to u to the power alpha, v to the power alpha. So it can be written as this can be written as alpha u, this can be written as alpha v, right? So this is equal to alpha u plus alpha v. These are two vectors, right? They are being multiplied. So under this operation, they can be written like this in addition. So alpha times u plus v is equal to alpha u plus alpha v. So distributive law is also there. Next distributive law. Now alpha, here we are taking two scalars, alpha and beta times u. So this is u to the power alpha plus beta. So it is u to the power alpha into u to the power beta. So it can be written as u to the power alpha plus u to the power beta. Okay, because multiplication is there. Here it can be changed into addition. Then this can be written as alpha u and the other one can be written as beta u. So alpha plus beta times u, that is equal to alpha u plus beta u. So 8th property is also satisfied. Then 9th property, alpha beta u, it becomes beta u to the power alpha. Now this can be written as u to the power beta to the power alpha. So this can be written as u to the power alpha beta. Now I'll take the power alpha inside and I'll keep the power beta outside. So u to the power alpha beta, and it can be written as beta. It can be written as alpha u to the power beta, which can be written as beta alpha u, and this proves the 9th property. Then 10th property, 1 into u. 1 into u is u to the power 1. U to the power 1 is u, right? So this proves the 10th property also. And in this way, all the 10 properties of the vector space are being satisfied. So R plus is a vector space here. Next question. Examine whether the set of vectors 3 to 1, 1, 1, 1, minus 1, 0, 1 in V3 forms a basis or not. So here the vector space is V3, means the dimension of the vector space is 3. So any linearly independent set containing 3 vectors will form the basis. So we just have to check whether these 3 vectors are linearly independent or not. If they are linearly independent, they will form the basis. Right? So just let's just check they are linearly independent or not. Write them in the form of a matrix and find the determinant of this matrix. So determinant of this matrix is coming out to be 0. So if determinant is 0, that means one of the vector is dependent upon the other vector. So it's a not linearly independent set, hence it cannot form the basis. Next question, 16th D part. Check whether the transformation T from V3 to V2 defined by T of x, y, z equal to x minus y, x plus y represent a linear transformation or not. So for linear transformation, you have to take two elements uv belonging to V3 and take two scalars alpha beta belonging to the field. So you just have to prove that t times alpha u plus beta v is equal to alpha times t of u plus beta times t of v. So let's begin. So write down t of alpha u plus beta v. So I have written t of alpha u. I have taken x1, y1, z1 because u belongs to V3. V3 consists of three tuple plus beta times v. V is also a three tuple, so x2, y2, z2. Sorry, z2 here. Now we'll just we'll just multiply alpha inside here. We'll multiply beta inside here. So it is equal to alpha x1, alpha y1, alpha z1 plus beta x2, beta y2, beta z2. Now we will add them element wise. So it is alpha x1 plus beta x2, alpha y1 plus beta y2, alpha z1 plus beta z2. Now what this operation is doing, what this transformation is doing, it's changing a three tuple into a two tuple. And how it is changing? First element of a two tuple is x minus y, means first element minus second element, and second element in the answer after the transformation is first element plus the second element. So the same thing we'll do here. It will be this three tuple will be changed to a two tuple, in which the first element of a two tuple will be first element minus the second element. First element here is this and second element is this. So let's do it. Alpha x1 plus beta x2 minus alpha y1 minus beta y2, second element is first element plus second element. So alpha x1 plus beta x2 plus alpha y1 plus beta y2. Now we'll separate the terms containing alpha at one place and we'll separate the terms containing beta at one place. So it will be alpha times x1 minus y1 plus beta times x2 minus y2, alpha times x1 plus y1 plus beta times x2 plus y2. This further will be split into two tuples, alpha times x1 minus y1, alpha times x1 plus y1 plus beta times x2 minus y2, beta times x2 plus y2. From here, alpha can be taken outside. So it is alpha times x1 minus y1, x1 plus y1. From here, beta can be taken outside. So it is beta times x2 minus y2, x2 plus y2. And what is this? This is t of x1 y1. And what is this? This is t of x2 y2. So it is equal to alpha times t of x1 y1 z1, and this is beta times t of x2 y2. x1 y1 z1 is u and x2 y2 z2 is v. So we have proved t of alpha u plus beta v is equal to alpha times t of u plus beta times t of v. So this transformation is a linear transformation. Question number 17. Find the eigenvalues and eigenvectors for the matrix 6 minus 2 2 minus 2 3 minus 1 2 minus 1 3. So to find out the eigenvalues, we'll find out A minus lambda and we'll solve its determinant and we'll equate the determinant equal to 0. So let's just solve this determinant. It is equal to 6 minus lambda minus 2 2, 2 3 minus lambda minus 1, 2 minus 1 3 minus lambda. We'll equate this determinant equal to 0. So to make the calculations easier here, I'll apply some transformations. So I can apply the transformation C3 goes to C3 plus C2. This will help me to open up the determinant. So that's why I'm doing it. You can expand it in your way. So this will be equal to 6 minus lambda minus 2 0, because I'm applying transformation on the third row. So minus 2 plus 2 will become 0 here. 3 minus lambda minus 1 will become 2 minus lambda here. 3 minus lambda minus 1 will become 2 minus lambda here. Now I can apply the transformation R2 goes to R2 minus R3. It will make 0 here and it will make me easier to expand, to open up the determinant. So 6 minus lambda minus 2 0. Here it will be minus 2 minus 2 minus 4. 3 minus lambda minus of minus 1 will be 4 minus lambda, and here it will be 2 minus lambda minus 2 plus lambda 0. So now I can open up the determinant. I can expand the determinant using the third column. So it will be 2 minus lambda multiply with the determinant of this matrix, this 2 by 2 matrix. So it is 6 minus lambda, 4 minus lambda minus 8. So one of the eigenvalue I am getting here from here, one of the eigenvalue is 2. Rest, the other two eigenvalues will find by solving this. Okay, so let's do it. So when you open up the brackets here, you will get 24, 6 4 the 24. 24 minus 8 will give me 16. Then you will get minus 4, you will get minus 6. Minus 4 minus 6 will give me minus 10, and you will get lambda square. Now you can solve this quadratic equation by the formula of D. So lambda will be equal to minus B. B is minus 10 here, so minus minus will become plus. Plus minus under root B square. B square is 100, 10 square is 100, minus 4 times AC. A is 1, C is 16. So 4 times 16 is 64, divided by 2 times A. 2 times 1 is 2. So 100 minus 64 is 36, and under root of 36 is 6. So it is 10 plus minus 6 by 2. So it's 16. One value of lambda will be 16 divided by 2, which is 8. And other value of lambda will be 10 minus 6, 4 by 2. So 2. So we get value of lambda from here to be 2 to 8. So eigenvalue 2 is repeating 2 times, and eigenvalue 8 is repeating only 1 time. So let's just find out the eigenvector corresponding to lambda equal to 2. So let's just assume xyz is eigenvector corresponding to lambda equal to 2. We'll get two eigenvectors from here. So let's just solve it. A minus 2 times I, x equal to 0. So subtract 2 from the diagonal from A. So you can see this. So we can reduce it to echelon form. You can apply the transformation. R1 goes to R1 minus 2 times R3, and R2 goes to R2 plus R3. So you can see here, first two rows will become 0. So only one row will survive. So it has only the rank of this matrix is only 1. So it will have 3 minus 1, 2 linearly independent solution. The system will have 2 linearly independent solution. So let's just solve it. So from here you can see we are getting the equation 2x minus y plus z equal to 0. So y is equal to 2x plus z. So the eigenvector is of such type. Okay, so any eigenvector x1 will be of such type where x can take any value, z can take any value, and y will be combination of 2x plus z. So from here we can split it into two parts, x2 x0 plus 0 z z. So here you can take x to be 1, here you can take z to be 1. So we get two eigenvectors from here, 1 2 0 and 0 1 1, corresponding to lambda equal to 2. Now for lambda equal to 8, again use the same procedure, subtract 8 from the diagonal, you will get this system, right? You can reduce this system to echelon form. Apply the transformation R2 minus R1, R3 plus R1. Again apply the transformation R3 minus R2. So you get rank to be 2 here. Okay, so rank is 2, so it will have one linearly independent solution. 3 minus 2, so it will have one linearly independent solution. One equation we are getting from here, x plus y minus z equal to 0, and one equation we are getting from here, y plus z equal to 0. From second equation we have y equal to minus z, and we can put the value of y equal to minus z in first equation. So that is x minus z minus z. So x will be equal to 2z. So value of x and y is depending upon z. So you can let z to be 1. So x will be 2 and y equal to minus 1. So we are getting one eigenvector here. 2 minus 1, 1 for lambda equal to 8. So in this way we have calculated the eigenvalue and eigenvectors of the given matrix. So now last question number 18th A part. Prove that any square matrix can be written as sum of symmetric and skew symmetric matrix. So firstly we'll assume any matrix A and we'll consider matrix A plus A transpose. So you can just have a look at this matrix A plus A transpose. We'll take transpose of this matrix. We'll take transpose of B. It is A plus A transpose transpose. So it is equal to A transpose plus A transpose transpose, as A plus B transpose is equal to A transpose plus B transpose. Now this will become A. This A transpose transpose becomes A. So this is A transpose plus A. Now this can be written as A plus A transpose, as A plus B can be written as B plus A. So we get B transpose equal to B. So B is a symmetric matrix. Now we'll look at C. C is, we are considering C to be A minus A transpose. So look at C transpose. C transpose is A minus A transpose transpose, which is A transpose minus A transpose transpose, which is equal to A transpose minus A. This can be written as minus 1 times A minus A transpose, which is equal to minus C. So C transpose is coming out to be minus C. So C is a skew symmetric matrix. Now the matrix A can be written like this. A can be written as 2A can be written as A plus A. Right? Now we will add A transpose and we will subtract A transpose. Adding A transpose and subtracting A transpose. So this will become 2A equal to A plus A transpose plus A minus A transpose. Now divide throughout the equation by 2. So it is A plus A transpose plus A minus A transpose divided by 2. Split it into two parts. Take this separately, first two terms separately, and the next two terms to be separately. So it is A plus A transpose by 2 plus A minus A transpose by 2. We have just seen that A plus A transpose is a symmetric matrix. So A plus A transpose divided by 2 will also be a symmetric matrix. And A minus A transpose, we have just seen that it's a skew symmetric matrix. So A minus A transpose divided by 2 will be a skew symmetric matrix, and hence we have expressed A as a sum of symmetric and a skew symmetric matrix. Now 18th question B part. Prove that similar matrices have same characteristic polynomial. So if two matrices are similar, that means there exists an invertible matrix P such that A, if there are if we are taking two similar matrices to be A and B, then A is equal to P inverse then A is equal to P inverse BP, right? So if A and B are two similar matrices, then there exists a matrix P such that A is equal to P inverse BP. Now characteristic polynomial of A, it can be written as A minus lambda I, right? Now what I am going to do, I'll put the value of A here in terms of B. So A is equal to P inverse BP minus lambda I as it is. Here I can be written as P inverse P. Okay, any matrix multiplied by its inverse give us identity matrix. So I can be written as P inverse P. Now next, what we can do, we can take P inverse common from here and P common from here to the right side. So P inverse taken common this side on the left side and P taken out common on the right side. Now determinant, we can take the determinant separately. So it's P inverse determinant, B minus lambda I determinant and P determinant. P inverse determinant and P determinant will cancel out, okay, because they will be inverse of each other. If this is 2, then this will be 1 by 2, right? If this is 5, this will be 1 by 5. So it will give just 1. So this is equal to B minus lambda I, so which is equal to characteristic polynomial of B. And this proves that two similar matrices have same characteristic polynomial. So this completes section C of March 2021 paper. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel and feel free to ask problems. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Take care. Bye bye.